In 2018, I basically shot a double exposure every day for a year. And I say basically because I did a complete 365 project and it's mostly defined by double exposures, but I didn't do a double exposure necessarily every day, but I basically did. I've spent a lot of time on this channel talking about cameras and techniques, and I wanted to take a bit of a break from that to talk about the work itself. And that's probably the most important part of photography anyway, and I fully guarantee this video will probably get less views as a result of me talking about my work rather than some weird camera I found. 365 Strikes Again is overall one of my favorite photo projects I've ever done. And it's because I was honing in on something in my work. And it was the first time I really liked the photos I was making. Going through the series, there's a lot of stuff in there that's like not that great, but that's kind of the nature of a 365 project. But overall, I remembered this series having a lot of my favorite photos I've ever taken. Largely, I was shooting this project on my Nikon D800, and then later in the year, I was shooting them on my Nikon D850, all in-camera double exposures. Sorry, film gang. And going through past work is kind of interesting because you see pieces of what you're doing now in the past. So, for instance, in this current Polaroid 365 project I'm doing, I see kind of what I'm getting at now kind of starting to appear in 2018, which is when 365 Strikes Again happened. So basically, I know what I'm after with the Polaroids I'm shooting this year, but I probably wouldn't have that kind of internal sense if I had not gone through the process of 365 Strikes Again back in the day. The question I really wanted to ask through this project was what a double exposure could be in practice. Up to this point, you could go on Pinterest or Stumble Upon, which is a thing back then, Instagram, Facebook, and a double exposure is basically defined as someone's head with flowers and trees and botanicals in it. And I wanted to make double exposures that documented my life and were a little more, organic, a little more natural, a little more surreal maybe, and maybe not so obvious. At this time, I was really inspired by the photographer Adam Goldberg's work, and he's a film photographer / actor, and he would document his life, his wife, and his kids, and do a lot of double exposures. And he was shooting film, so he would do double exposures, obviously in camera like I was. And I think the reason that I tend to flow so seamlessly through film and digital is because I often shoot double exposures as if I'm shooting film no matter what anyway, and his type of double exposure is in that lane as well, and there aren't that many people doing that, I think, to a super deep degree, and his work really impacted me back in 2018. And most of this project is shot on this lens. It is my Sigma Art 24 millimeter, and I love this lens. It is actually, I think, generally poorly reviewed, but I pretty much used it for all of 2018, and I still use it. In fact, I don't have my D800 or D850 anymore, and couldn't get rid of this. So I use this on my on one of my film Nikon cameras. But the project was shot on this very lens. So I basically just wanted to use this video to go through a few of these images and talk about them. So I've been kind of redoing my website, and I've started putting some of my projects on here. 365 Strikes Again. So let's look at what we got. And you can look at these, photos on willmalone.com. They are, the ones I'm going to talk about are on the website. I don't really plug my website that much because there's not much going on there yet. I haven't put up a ton of my new print work yet, so just bear with me. So yeah, this mirror selfie here, this was a bad day, I can tell you that. So this day is very vivid to me. Basically, I was at a cousin's wedding, and the wedding wasn't bad. The wedding was fine, but I was sharing an Airbnb with my sister, and we were having a big fight. It was pretty miserable. It was a rough time. I think I got so sick of it that at like 4 a.m. the next day, I just left because I was like, I'm done here. So don't be fooled by my whimsical face. I was very unhappy that day. Okay, so Anna and I do not go on vacation hardly ever at all, and randomly for a weekend we decided to get away, and I kind of wish we did that more because we have a child now, and we didn't back then, and we should have gotten away more, but we didn't. So this was like some cool Airbnb we found. It was like a Flintstone house. But yeah, so this was the view. So the double exposure, the window of the house, this is the view. So you see the mountain and the tree. And I double exposed that with Anna looking at it. So I don't know, it's just kind of a cool cinematic double exposure where you see what she's looking at, which kind of ruins the mystery actually in some ways. But I've always liked this photo a lot. I think it's cool. It looks like a projection on the wall or like a camera obscura or something. Okay, so for this photo, I was definitely drinking. I feel like I don't remember the day, not because I was drinking, but because I do remember hanging out with friends, and I want to say we played Uno at like a tap room or something, but we were like, I feel like it was like some sort of pub crawl situation, and we ended up at the arcade on MLK in Chattanooga, and I took this photo. So yeah, but this photo's gotten around a lot. I actually I printed this photo. It's above my desk right here, and it's 2.5D printed, so it's actually got texture on it, which is pretty wild. And I made a whole video about that, so that's kind of wild. This photo is of Chattanooga at night. I think it was another bad night, if I remember correctly. I think it was the night that I decided I wanted to move from Chattanooga. In fact, it was that night because I had I had some family issues and like some other stuff, and I was just kind of like burnt out of the place, and I just decided, hey, let's go do something different or go somewhere else. And this photo, I just drove downtown because I didn't really know what else to do. I was like in an emotional state, so I just parked and I saw this view and I just shot it. Always had my camera with me because I was doing 365. So I just shot it, and it was forever imprinted on my mind that this was the night that we decided we were done. Okay, this one's so this one actually kind of inspired the title Double Negative. So when I started the Double Negative YouTube channel and the podcast, this is the photo that came to mind. It's basically an idea I had similar to the projection on the wall where my wife is sitting in the Airbnb, where I wanted to show you what I was looking at. And I thought, oh, if I have enough shadows on my face, then I can cast just like a nice neat line of the woods behind my house. I wasn't looking at anything. We lived in a bottom floor apartment in the back of a complex, so it was just like trees and woods. I saw a coyote back there once, but that's about all that was there. And so yeah, it was just an idea I had that actually kind of worked. And yeah, so I really like this photo. I look a lot younger in it. There's like no gray in my hair, so that's pretty. Yes, the Tacoma. So I got the Tacoma probably about 6 months before I started this photo project. So the Tacoma, yeah, I got it in like 2017. So this is 2018, yeah. So the Tacoma was just this amazing thing. I just loved it. And so I took pictures of it all the time. The paint still looked really good at this point. I have since repainted it because it started to all come apart and stuff. But yeah, I was really infatuated with the Tacoma. And I mean, I still drive it, so I obviously am still infatuated with it. It has a lot more dents and stuff and personality since this photo. But yeah, it was still new to me, still fresh. I did shoot film during this project, but the problem with the 365 is that I was posting one a day instead. Now I'm doing the Polaroid 365 where I post once a week, 7 photos. Back then I was posting 1 photo a day on my feed, so film wasn't conducive to that. But I was still shooting film on the side, and I've got a lot of film from that year that I need to dig up. I like geometric stuff. I like the wide angle lens because I can put weird shapes in it, and there's just a lot of negative space in this photo, and I really like it. I was hanging out with my friend Jonathan Preg. I think he was visiting. We went and shot photos at the dam, I think is where we went. And I just thought this was a cool perspective and shot like Mango Street. It's very like, there was an era of YouTube where there was a lot of weird perspectives and angles and with wide lenses, and this is very, very much that of the time. I don't know if I'd shoot like this now. And this is in somewhere in Arizona. This is the trailer we stayed in Joshua Tree. It's like a repurposed trailer Airbnb. I probably stayed in more Airbnbs in 2018 than I ever have because I don't like Airbnbs. I much prefer hotels. Oh yeah, this one's really cool. The sunsets in Joshua Tree were killer. So there were a lot of opportunities for some cool double exposure sunset things. And yeah, this one's one of the top ones, I think, from the trip. It's just enough said. It's cool. And this one's not a double exposure, actually. It's a prism. No, it's a phone screen. So sometimes I would bounce light off my phone. Maybe it was a prism. I think I had a prism that I would use sometimes if I couldn't quite get what I was wanting. But sometimes I'd use my phone screen too to reflect stuff. Anyways, I don't know if it's a prism or phone screen, but I wanted the sunset was behind us, and so I wanted to project some of what was behind us in front of us, which is another, I guess, of that technique where I'm projecting images showing multiple angles. Double exposure of Joshua Tree Sunset Horizon, which is hanging right here on aluminum. So yeah, that's funny. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video. Those are some of my favorite ones. There's obviously 365 of them. I could do this for a long time, but I just decided to show you the highlights. Let me know if you like this format or idea. I'm sure this will be possibly one of my lowest viewed videos of all time because it's long and it's not travel and it's not me cutting around. It's just me talking about my own photos, which sounds probably like a nightmare to most of you. But bad news, I'm probably gonna do something similar to this again for the next video when I talk about my month of Polaroid photography that will be wrapping up next week. So, get over it, I guess. But really, thanks for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Will Malone, and you can follow my Polaroid Instagram account at RoidRage72, and also you can follow me on Threads, Threads as well at Will Malone. I've been kind of doing more stuff on there, and yeah, please subscribe. I really appreciate you watching so far. The growth is blowing me away, and I'm just excited for what's to come in 2024. So I will see you soon.